If you've ever been in an audition, on set, or in rehearsal, and caught yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm just not talented, or I'll never make it, guess what? You're not alone. But here's the thing, those little voices in our heads, they're not the best critics of our work. So today, we're going to talk about how to turn down that mental noise and reframe our mindset for success. Sound good? Let's do this. This is Casting Actors Cast.
Casting actors cast, what a show! With Jeffrey Dreisbach, we're ready to go. From agents to gigs, learn what you lack. Tune in every week, we're bringing you back.
We're going to kick off the show right after this. Well, hello, and welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. I'm casting partner Jeffrey Dreisbach with the McCorkle Group in New York. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm having a good day, and I thought it would be really about time that we revisit some of the subject matter that we've talked about in past episodes. But I think particularly this is a great time to do this right now, only because we need to have those positive affirmations reinforced with us. It's not just a one and done kind of self-talk thing. This is something that we need to reinforce over time as creative people. We subject ourselves to such incredible criticism. And hopefully we're going to be addressing some of those today. And stick around to the end because we've got some really amazing tips that you can actually put into practice. I promise you it's going to be an episode that you're going to want to share with your friends and family. At least that's my hope. And that's a big hope, I know, but that's my hope. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Hey, listen, I've got something to tell you that I'm really, to say that I'm excited is just an understatement. And that is amazingly the Broadway Podcast Network, where this show, Casting Actors Cast, is hosted, and Actors Connection, longtime friends, have decided to team up and sponsor a live recording of my podcast with a studio audience. That would be you. And guess what? You're invited. No kidding. This is really happening. It's taking place on May 3rd. It's a Saturday, 6 p.m. at Pearl Studios, NYC. It's going to be a great time because we're recording the entire podcast live. It's going to be on camera, and I'm going to be posting it as part of my regular scheduling of episodes. But I think it's going to be an opportunity for you to ask questions. It would be so great for me to be able to meet you, to say hello, to shake your hand. Also, because it's going to be sponsored by the Broadway Podcast Network and Actors Connection, they're going to be giving away some freebies and there's some merch. I promise you, I'm pretty confident that this is just going to be a really good, kick-ass good time, and I would love to see you there. You have to make a reservation. Already, seats are going fast. This is a completely free event. Did I say free? Yes, I said free. That means this doesn't cost you a darn thing. Just get yourself there to Pearl Studios on Saturday, May 3rd. How do you make that reservation? Because we need to have reservations in order for this to take place. Seating is definitely limited. It's very simple. All you need to do is actorsconnection.com. That's actorsconnection.com/seminars. Then you're going to see the listing of all the seminars that are happening through Actors Connection. But then you go down, it's organized by date. So you simply just go down to that date, which is the 3rd of May, 2025, and you're going to see the live podcast event. That's where you can sign up. Again, this is completely free. I've got my book I'll be sharing with you. I've got question and answers happening. I've got a really fun subject to talk about. Again, I've been promoting it on some social stuff, but this is going to give you first crack to sign up. actorsconnection.com/seminars for a live broadcast of Casting Actors Cast. All right. Was that too much? I apologize. But speaking of that, if you go to the website, castingactorscast, all one word, .com, you can also sign up through there. You can also fill out that form that says dive into the talent pool, and that's going to open up some freebies like a book that I wrote on doing voiceover work, casting actors cast. You'll also see my new book, Booked It, the Actor's Playbook for Getting Cast. So it's all happening there on the website as well. And finally, my email address, castingactorscast@gmail.com. Thank you so much to those of you who've been writing to me and thanking me for taking the time to put this podcast together, because our casting office is crazy busy right now with a lot of summer theater. We're doing 3 feature films. We're working on a television series. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount going on. But you know what? I get excited by that. And that's what makes me want to continue to do these podcasts. So thanks again for that. Now, before we jump in, I need to make a note about my new book. So this is just a note before we start. It's called Booked It, the Actor's Playbook for Getting Cast. You know what? It's actually the second edition of my original book, Jeff's Jots, the Actor's Career Playbook. Now, let me just tell you why you won't find Jeff's Jots anywhere and why that's probably a good thing. After pouring countless hours into writing and crafting what I thought was the perfect resource for you, for actors, I made some, let's just say, I made some very questionable choices. First, I decided to edit the manuscript myself. And that's a task best left to professionals, believe me. As my eye for detail is, well, let's just say it's unreliable at best. Then, in a spectacular act of self-sabotage, I accidentally uploaded an early working draft instead of the polished final version. The result? A book riddled with awkward sentences and misspelling and terrible grammar mishaps and punctuation that seemed to, I don't know, follow its own set of rules. The worst part, I didn't realize the mistake until after several copies of the book had already been sold. Mortified doesn't even begin to cover it. So what was I to do? Well, I do believe in making lemonade out of lemons, even if I initially spilled all of the sugar. So guess what? I pulled the book from publication. I then took a deep breath, and I did what should have been done in the first place: give it the care and attention it deserved. I rewrote, I refined, I added fresh insights, and I even rebranded the title. And that brings us to Booked It, the Actor's Playbook for Getting Cast. Now, that is honestly the book that I meant to publish all along. My best effort finally realized. So listen, I hope that you maybe check it out. I hope that you love it and use it. And then soon maybe you'll be able to say, booked it. So please do check it out. And I hope and thank you that you understand the situation. I'm just being upfront with what happened. And hopefully your understanding will bring us together even closer. And maybe you'll check out the book if you feel so inclined. You can find a link on the website, and it's on Amazon.com and wherever you get your books, you're going to find it. So thank you so very much for that little mini explanation. Okay, I'm ready to jump in. I hope that wasn't too lengthy for you, and I hope you understand why I needed to do it. So we're going to talk about the negative voice in our heads. Okay? First, let's get real. Every actor, yes, even A-listers, have those self-defeating thoughts. Now, maybe you've said some of these thoughts to yourself. Maybe you've said things like, I'll never be as good as ... Insert whatever famous actor name you want here. I bombed that audition. I should just quit. Have you ever said that? I always get nervous, so I must not be cut out for this. How about that? Hey, how about this? Casting directors hate me. I've actually heard this from an actor. I can't cry on cue, so I'm a terrible actor. Does that sound familiar? Well, here's the kicker. Your brain is wired to keep you safe. And sometimes safe means convincing you are not to take risks like putting yourself out there in an audition or believing in your own talent. But playing it safe doesn't get you the role. It doesn't lead to growth. It just keeps you stuck. So let's talk about turning down the volume. So how do we turn down the volume? This is a really unhelpful mental chatter that we decide to pay attention to. So here are a few suggestions. One is to acknowledge it, but don't engage it. See, when negative thoughts pop into our heads, it's just simply a matter of treating it like spam email. Really, recognize it, but don't open it. Ah, there's that I'm not good enough thought. There's that I'm not good enough thought again. Moving on. That's all you need to say. Replace it with a better script. If your inner monologue says I'm not talented enough, counter it with I'm consistently improving and growing. Make a habit out of flipping the script. Here's another one. Change your environment. If you're spiraling in self-doubt, get up and physically move, shake it off, change location. Sometimes just a literal shift helps you shift your mindset. You know what? I was reminded of this very, very succinctly. Ooh, good word. When I was walking my dog, Pixie. Pixie's just the cutest, friendliest little dog. But what I noticed, and this was just relatively recently, is that when we're going for a walk and there's something that she is not happy about, something that she doesn't care about, it could be another dog, it could be the sound of a motorcycle, whatever it is, she'll stop, she'll acknowledge it, but then guess what she does? It's the coolest, sweetest thing. She shakes. She shakes her head and her entire body, all the way from her head, then it goes down to her toes and her tail. And I realized that any time she has something that she needs to shake off, she literally shakes it off. So guess what? I know this is going to make me sound like a crazy person. I get it. Go ahead. You can laugh. I give you permission. But whenever she shakes, guess what? I decide to shake too. I do. I do. I know that it's really weird to do that on the street when you're walking your dog. I get that. But I can also tell you that people leave me alone. It's just me and my dog. People stay away. And that's not a terrible thing when you want to have a quiet little moment to yourself with your dog. All right, let's move on from there. When we have techniques that we can put into place whenever we get that self-talk, it just becomes a way of shifting that energy and shaking it off. Here's another one. Practice self-compassion. Now, you wouldn't tell a friend, you should quit acting because you are bad. So then why would you say that to yourself? Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd give a fellow actor. That's an amazing rule. That's a good rule of thumb. It's healthy. It makes you feel better. It makes the person or people that you are working around feel better as well. Let's move on from there. Focus on the work, not the outcome. You see, instead of obsessing over booking a role, focus on what you can control. You see, you can control your preparation. You can control your creativity and presence. Make sense? The best mindset for a creative person is as important as any talent that I've had experience in, whether I'm auditioning actors or whether I'm doing an EPA or an EC, it just doesn't matter. But I want you to know that acting is very vulnerable. It requires putting yourself out there without any guarantees. So the best mindset for an actor? Curiosity over judgment. Instead of asking, was I good? Ask, what did I learn? What can I explore? Also, adopt a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities aren't fixed, but can be developed. Every audition, every performance is an opportunity to learn, not a test to pass or fail. I tell this to students I teach all the time. I say, guess what? School is over. Why are you grading yourself? Why are you re-auditioning in your head after the audition is over? And I think part of this is also overcoming the fear of failure. Ah, failure. That big, scary word. But here's a secret. Successful actors don't avoid failure. They reframe it. So Meryl Streep once said, acting is about making mistakes in front of people. Let that sink in. You see, the best actors that I know, that I've worked with, they take risks. They embrace failure and they keep going. The key is to see failure as feedback, not a stop sign. So every no brings you closer to a yes. You've heard that before. I know I have. What successful actors have in common with their self-talk is very, very interesting, I think. Have you ever noticed that successful actors have a certain kind of energy? They're confident, but not arrogant. They're grounded, but open. And most of all, they trust themselves. Their self-talk tends to be, I am enough. I may not get every role, but I have something unique to offer. I'm always learning and improving. This audition is an opportunity, not a verdict. See, if you start speaking to yourself like a successful actor, you're already halfway there. Now, let's talk about how to realistically evaluate your talent. We're going to have that right after this. Hey actors, ever wonder what really goes on behind the casting table? Now is your chance to find out. Live! Join me, Jeffrey Dreisbach, for a special live recording of my podcast, Casting Actors Cast. Live! Be part of the conversation, ask your burning questions, and get exclusive insights you won't hear anywhere else. Saturday, May 3rd, 6 p.m., Pearl Studios, NYC. Limited seating, RSVP required. Lock in your spot now at actorsconnection.com/seminars. Welcome back. Let's talk about how to evaluate your talent. Now, this part is important. How do you assess your skills without falling into self-doubt? Here's how. Seek constructive feedback. Work with coaches and teachers or peers who will be honest and supportive. Next, watch your own work objectively. Instead of nitpicking, ask, what's working? What can I adjust? Next, it's important to track your growth. My suggestion is that you keep a journal of lessons learned, roles you've played, and skills you've developed. Remember that talent is only part of it. Hard work, perseverance, and mindset are just, if not more, important than raw talent. Don't you think? Doesn't that make sense? So here are some closing thoughts. What's the takeaway? Your brain does matter. What you tell yourself does matter. And the best thing you can do for your acting career is to train your mindset just as much as your craft. Remember, thoughts are just thoughts. They aren't facts. You have the power to rewrite your inner monologue, reframe failure, and build a mindset that supports your creative journey. I can't tell you how many times as an actor I put myself through so much self-torture, questioning every audition and wondering why I didn't get the feedback I felt I deserved. It was sort of like what I called His Majesty the Baby. I felt like I had this huge ego, that I had talent, that I should be seen, that I should get cast. But guess what? What was holding me back was my own low self-esteem. Part of me not feeling that I was ever going to be good enough. And so that when I booked a job, the highs were really, really high. But that also means, conversely, that the lows were really, really low. It took me quite a bit of time to figure out that an audition is not an event. It took me quite a bit of time to figure out that casting directors were actually on my side and not against me, looking for something that I was wrong about. But that takes time. Hopefully, with this podcast today, you've been given some insights that can help you reframe your mindset, reframe the way that you think. Because I would never want anyone to subject themselves to the kind of self deprecating, ooh, good word, behavior that I put myself through. And now, as a casting director, I'm looking at actors performing and I'm seeing the same or similar behavior that I put myself through. So, hopefully, with this podcast, I've saved you just a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of angst, and just hang in there. I appreciate you hanging in there with me today. If this episode resonated with you, please share it. Maybe a fellow actor who might need to hear it. And as always, I want you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep shining. You've got this. We'll see you next time. I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach. You've been listening and watching Casting Actors Cast. Hope to see you at the live event on May 3rd. Thanks so much.
It's been great having you in our talent pool today. Your support means the world to us, so please consider sharing, liking, and reviewing this episode wherever you jump in. I'm Megan Grace Martinez. Thanks.
From monologues to